Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. I'm your host, the Real Gerald Quinn, recording on a Thursday evening. We, of course, are looking at last night's just powerful episode of one of the best shows on television, Snowfall Season 6, Episode 3, War of No Return. We're going to get right into it with our themes. Before we get to our themes, just a quick recap. Leon and Wanda find themselves in Africa and return to LA feeling out of place. Franklin continues to go to war with Louis and Jerome. You also have Dion versus Kane going at each other as well. Teddy, Teddy Mack takes Gustavo to Costa Rica. We'll flush that out more throughout the course of the podcast. But we get to our themes, survivor's remorse in war. Um, so this was an episode that, and I could also put in bondage too as a theme, as a number of our characters, especially Franklin, Louis, Jerome, and Gustavo, are kind of enslaved in their own right, with what they're dealing with uh, in LA with their current situations. I mean, you got Franklin looking over his shoulder every second as he repeatedly was taking shots at from Jerome and Louis. You got Louis and Jerome getting shot at, in not once but twice. Once at their club, the first time at the out just right outside their hotel where they you know I'm assuming that's not the same hotel that they were in with to stay at when they were on their honeymoon. I don't think it was that same hotel. I'm assuming that they had to move hotels, but you have people now who are just, I mean, our characters through the first three episodes, they've done an excellent job at creating these uncomfortable situations for our cat for the three main characters here in Franklin, Jerome, and Louis. Like they can't even enjoy their money. Franklin is going broke. We'll talk about that, and also survivor's remorse. So, Leon and Wanda. Leon, comes back from Africa, and suffering from a bit of survivor's remorse. I mean, he could have easily stayed in Africa with Wanda, but felt the need to come back because he felt like he owed something based off his past experiences and his past faults and past sins uh, before he left to go to Ghana. So we'll talk about more of these themes throughout the course of the podcast. Let's deep dive Leon and Wanda. Why did you come back? So Leon and Wanda, the episode starts off with Leon and Wanda in Africa, in Ghana. Um, Now, I've never been to Africa, never been to Ghana, of course, but you can just look at the cinematography. You can look at the sites that you can tell just that it is a absolute beautiful country. I've I know a few people that have gone to Ghana and they spoke nothing but high regards of it. Just the scenery, the sights, the people, the food. I've heard nothing but great things about Ghana. And you see Leon and Wanda living the great life. They are happy. Leon's not carrying a gun. Wanda's clean, looking better than ever, looking like season one Wanda before the crack pipe. They are again living their best lives. But Leon sees this sign, uh, and I'll give you the quote from J.J. Rawlings. He sees the sign that kind of gives him the incentive to come back. And what it says is, as I pull it up real quick here, the errors of the past must be corrected in order to reestablish the confidence of our people in a secure future. So Leon sees this sign, and immediately you knew at that point that hey, Leon had the itch to come back. Not so much again, not so much to get back in the streets, but he felt the need to give back for again past sins. He again former was a drug dealer before he moved to Ghana along with Wanda. Before we so Wanda doesn't want to come back. She says there's nothing there for her, but a pimp and basically basically a pimp and some drugs. Um, but Leon does, Leon's like, hey, look, I can't do this without you. That leads, of course, to them to Wanda, to them getting married. Now, during their time in Ghana, they go to this place called the Elmina Castle, which was a prison for slaves. Now, Portuguese, to give you a little mini history lesson on this place, the Portuguese would trade goods for slaves. More than 30,000 slaves passed through this castle. This went on for well over 300 years. Okay. And they go inside of this castle. They hear the echoes of the past of all the slaves, which brings them to tears. They had this older guy who was explaining what went on in the past with that castle. I'm sure one of the more famous sites in the world, and one of the more, if you do your research on it, one of the more famous, certainly one of the more famous sites and recognizable sites in all of Africa. Um, Leon kind of compares this to the to the drug game, saying that I basically am responsible for enslaving my own people with drugs and with crack. And that's where the survivor's remorse comes in for Leon, because Leon feels like he has to pay for his sins in a way of giving back. Like it's not enough to get out and just get out and not come back forever, which he could have easily done. And with Wanda, he feels it again. He feels the need to come back and come back to LA um, to help out his people in LA. He finds that there is a rude awakening once they get back. With him, once he and Wanda get back, they realize that, like this is not the same place. This is not the same place. This is not certainly the place that we left. That we left coming back. That we left. It's actually worse when we left. And when they get back to LA, they are in the midst of just an all-out war. Seeing what the consequences of the war between Franklin, Louis, and Jerome, Big Dion, and Kane. Leon is in the projects. He sees just more guns than he's ever seen before. Remember, Leon used to run the projects, and even when he ran the projects, and they were, when he ran the projects, they were not nowhere near that many guns. He sees how Big Dion is running the operation. Doesn't seem pleased like about that, even though Leon has no interest in getting back into the game. Um, he just getting back into the game. He is just blown away by everything that he's seen in terms of the projects. Has a conversation with Big Dion. Has no interest in getting back to the game. He gets briefed by Big Dion's number two in terms of what's going on with Franklin, Louis, and Jerome. That's when you see that montage with with Louis, Jerome, Franklin basically trying to kill each other. So um, I think that it was very important for them to create a sense of to create a sense that there's no going back with Louis, Jerome, and Franklin. They are literally trying to kill each other, like seriously trying to kill each other. I know last episode there was a sense, and I heard this on the internet where maybe Franklin still had some love for Jerome. That's why he didn't kill him. Jerome important somewhat, even though he smacked him twice. Um, you know, maybe Jerome had a bit of a soft spot considering how emotional he reacted. No. These two are past that point. These two they are at each other's throats. They hate each other. It's going past personal. They are mortal enemies. Like there's no two ways about it. So that to me was important. Like I can't have this. something happens and it brings them back. No, these three they have to be at each other's throats. They absolutely have to be at each other's throats. I thought that was very important for them to for the show to establish. Uh, with Leon and Wanda, I think that this is something this is not going to end well for I think for Leon. To be honest with you, I'm actually going to get into my prediction for Leon earlier. I just don't think Leon is going to make it. I just think that like when you make that decision to come back, I mean, it's a different show, different show. But we knew Omar was going to die when he came back to Baltimore after finding out but you got killed. We knew that was going to happen. Like Omar was out wherever in the islands, Puerto Rico, wherever Omar was at, had left Baltimore, was chilling. When he came back to Baltimore trying to avenge Butchie, we knew that it wasn't going to end well. And I feel the same way about Leon. Even though Leon is out here for revenge, trying to, it's even worse. Leon's out here trying to make peace. So, um, why did you come back? I listen. I don't get. I certainly understand why Leon would feel guilty, would feel what that he had to come back, but at the end of the day, I don't see it ending well in terms of him coming back. But the big part about that whole the beginning part of this episode, the first 17 minutes was dedicated towards Leon and seeing Leon and Wanda in Africa was just again that powerful scene within the Elmina Castle prison, which of course it was the prison for slaves. That was a very powerful sequence of events, of a scene. And of course, when they left Africa, Leon, of course, Leon and Wanda they get married. And, the guy basically says to him, hey, are you in danger? When he told him that he was coming back. And Leon says, they hadn't killed me yet. So we'll see what happens. But I don't think that this ends well for Leon at the end of the day. Some of the best scenes, Leon, we talked about Leon and Wanda get hitched. Listen, they are, Leon and Wanda are the heartbeat of the show. Like there's all there is to it. They right now are the two characters. They're the only two characters right now at this point that you are rooting for. To be honest with you, like you're rooting for Leon to be revolutionary, to go out there, start a school, basically be like a modern day revolutionary that actually lives. But we know that it normally doesn't turn out well for our revolutionaries. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, whoever. We can go down the line. Um, Leon wanted to get hitched. Beautiful wedding. Just a great lighting and cinematography in terms of the wedding. They were having a great time. The people, they were just so happy. And we've watched shows for many years. When two people are that happy early on in a season of a show that chances are it's just not going to end well. They want that will probably be the happiest that both Leon and Wanda are moving forward. So that was a great scene with the wedding. Jerome, Louis, and Leon. So Jerome and Louis agree to see Leon. This was a very intense scene. Leon goes through, first of all, like at least 5 or 6 guys that Jerome and Louis had in terms of security, as they are absolutely paranoid, as they should be, with Franklin taking shots at him. He offers gives them a wedding gift. Jerome especially are not having it. Like they're not. First of all, Leon and Louis never got along. That's number one. Like they never really have clicked from probably from season 3 on. I would say probably from season 3 on. They haven't clicked. They never clicked. So she never would. And Jerome always looked at Leon as like you just Franklin's basically as Franklin's little boy per se. Like so with that relationship, those relationships have never been great to begin with. Now, Jerome clearly was bothered by Leon leaving in the midst of everything going down and basically missing out. And so he's annoyed by that. Jerome feels Leon is on his high horse coming back from Africa, basically, on his soapbox, so to speak. Leon just wants peace. At the end of the day, he says if you kill Franklin, and he make this is where he makes a mistake when he says if you kill Franklin, then it will destroy the family. And Jerome basically says like, boy, you're not family. Like I never, and basically saying I never. Basically, Jerome saying I never fuck with you like that. Fucked with you like that. Franklin used you. He used us. But we basically, Jerome was saying we never were that tight. Maybe you thought we were tight through Franklin, but at the end of the day, Jerome is saying, "Hey, that was all a mirage. That was all. That wasn't. That was just about money. That relationship, our relationship, never had any substance. It was all about the drugs, the money, everything that that I don't stand for." And we talked about that last episode with Jerome not being about that life as far as not caring about the money, the prestige, the ball, like the cars. None of that. Jerome has never been about that. That's not who Jerome is at the end of the day. So whatever success they had money wise in building an empire, that means nothing to Jerome. That doesn't carry any loyalty. Just because they were all in the same team at one point, that Jerome looks at it as like, hey, if you're connected to Franklin, then I don't fuck with you. That's also what it basically was. So basically, Jerome tells him, hey man, get lost, um, keep it moving, get lost, and then we see Leon meet up in the scene in the episode, meeting up with Franklin. A little bit more warmer meet up with Franklin. We know how tight they have been over the course of the 5 seasons, now 6 seasons. But even with that, Franklin, is just in a bad place. Like Franklin's his penthouse has been destroyed by some dirty cops that were hired by Leon by Jerome and Louis. Franklin is running out of money. You see him in his stash house, and you see that the bricks are not as many bricks as we saw. He's running out of money, and they gave the sense that he was about to get kicked out of his penthouse because he can't afford it. That's what it seems like because he says I'll leave when I'm good and ready. So he's on his ass. He even says to Leon, "Hey, my back is against the wall. You got to pick a side. Like you my man. I know I made mistakes. None of that shit matters right now. But you have to pick a side. It's either them or me. Either pick a side or take Wanda and get the fuck out of here." So Franklin is straight up with Leon about the predicament and about what the situation is. And you know what? Franklin's right. Like if you're not in this, there's no, watching from the sideline. Like you either are a part, you either are with me, against me, or just or get out. And he tells them get out as soon as possible. Like don't even waste time with this because they are in a war. So you had that going on, and that was a perfect way to end the episode. Couple other things. For episode MVP, I would say Leon. Leon was episode MVP. Wanda has some good scenes. I mean, the character that played Wanda has some good scenes as well. Like though Isaiah John and Gail Bean are, they have tremendous chemistry as a duo, as a duo. And but they were the episode MVPs. They carried the first part of the episode. You see Leon, again, try to make peace with both Franklin, Louis, and Jerome. Leon genuinely wants to do the right thing. But again, sins of the past, you know, both of these characters had their past catch up with them, so to speak. With Jerome basically accusing Leon of basically running, and we'll talk about this we'll talk about this in terms of not Gail Beam. Well, it is Gail Beam. In terms of Wanda, you see her try to go home to her grandma with a gift. Grandma was like, "Yeah, you look pretty now. That's a nice dress, but you also used to rob me and beat the hell out of me. So I'm basically similar to Jerome not fucking with Leon. The grandma, you have Wanda's grandmother wants nothing to do with her, and rightfully so. I mean, God knows what that girl, what she put her grandmother through. And the grandma, her grandma did not care whatsoever that she was cleaned up. She's like, like that doesn't matter. Like the damage has already been done. So really, though, it was emphasized that those two Leon, not Leon, Leon and Wanda did not belong in LA. They just don't. It's not a place for them anymore. Wanda knew that. I think Leon knows it too, but still wants to do the right thing. And we'll see if that, cost him in the long run. It's the Russians. So Teddy McDonald and Gustavo go to Costa Rica to retrieve some guns. It was probably one of the shipments that from Avi's contacts. Someone has been messing with those shipments. Have been messing with those shipments. So they take some mercenaries. They kill the guys that have been interrupting those gun shipments, and now, but Teddy wants some more evidence to see who else might be involved, who else was involved in terms of doing this, and he finds through, just they I this was a tough scene to buy, him finding this paper in a nail after he goes through all this stuff, but whatever, he finds a paper rolled up and with some Russian handwriting, and Teddy says at the end of the scene that the Russians are trying to blow up this operation. Now a lot of people are trying to make the connection to KGB, Ruben, of course, Ruben, the guy who wants Teddy and who wants Teddy McDonald to take down Teddy McDonald. So maybe there's a connection there. Uh, we also saw you see the DEA taking pictures of Gustavo doing the deal with Louis with the drop with Louis. So they're putting pressure on him to get some more evidence. They said they're only giving him a certain amount of time before they raid Teddy's warehouse. So that could be coming up in the next episode. Teddy, of course, Gustavo, of course, is feeling it like that. He is as nervous can be. You see him shaking his foot to the point where it wakes Teddy up as they're flying to Costa Rica, and you start to see like Gustavo is acting like a rat. Okay, he's asking because he like I wonder how long it's gonna take for Teddy to realize that something's not right with Gustavo because he's already giving like he's asking questions like how long are we gonna be here. He's asking questions like an informant, like somebody like an informant, like a snitch. Like he's really acting like that. But he's up against it though. He like I said, we talked about bondage being one of the that I could have added to the theme of this episode that all these characters, these top 4 or 5 characters, all these lead characters are in a form of bondage as far as their predicaments. They really are. Like there's with Franklin, Louis Jerome, and also Teddy, Teddy McDonald and Gustavo. They are all trapped in this war. They're trapped in in their sins of the past. Um, and it all connects, if we want to really take it all the way back, it all connects to slavery as far as being, they're trying to, the show is trying to send you that, it's trying to again describe what, trying to connect the drug game with slavery, with that powerful scene at the Elmina Castle. And the African Americans were in bondage, hundreds and hundreds of years, and it was very similar in the 80s with the crack epidemic of what the damage that it was doing to the communities, and so they are certainly making that connection during this particular episode. Uh, so overall, again, I think this was a very powerful episode. Uh, and you can make a case that with this episode that it kind of was a transitional episode to really something big. I could see something major happening next episode, but it was even better than like you will see on television at times. They have these episodes that I don't like the term, but they call them somewhat throwaway episodes of where, all right, we're just, this is just set up for something major to happen in the following episode. This was a setup episode, but I think it actually was better considering some of the subtext, considering the scenery and what transpired in Ghana with Leon and Wanda. I just think this was just much better than your typical setup episodes. Next week should be a big time episode in terms of something happening. Something probably is going to pop off with Teddy's warehouse, and the want the 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 Franklin Louis Jerome war is only going to escalate. Um, we'll see. I mean, again, Franklin is running out of money. So like where is Franklin gonna get more where is Franklin gonna get more money? Like that $3 million that he took from Jerome and Louis does not last it's not gonna last long with him trying to run all his businesses and having to play, still try to pay security and penthouse. So what is next for Franklin from that standpoint, in terms of what he's going to do, what he's his what he's going to do. And he right now, I mean, he has no Franklin has no allies in the drug game per se. Doesn't have Big Dion, Teddy Mack, Louis Jerome. He has no connections in the drug game whatsoever right now. The only allies he has is he thinks his Veronique and Cassandra. Maybe Cassandra. We'll see what Cassandra. We'll see as we saw her briefly as they had dinner or lunch with as he had lunch with Veronique and her mother Cassandra, and how I heard a lot of people talk about how they were positioned in terms of where how they were sitting. That Franklin is isolated versus, and then you have Veronique in the middle. So people were saying, who is Veronique's alliance to, Franklin or her mother? So that will be interesting to see how that plays out over the course of the season. We also saw Leon you saw them kind of give Leon and Franklin pay their respects to Avi. They realized, even though nobody has come up, that he's probably that I mean, we know he's dead, but they realized that that somebody probably that he was just missing, and he more than likely is dead. So they, kind of paid their respects to him, so to speak, and gave an ode to that particular character. And I like the Avi's character. I understand why they had to kill him, but the Avi character is one of the more charismatic and really helped. One of the great supporting characters on the show. So listen, I mean, 3 episodes in, you have what, 7 left. Um, so far so good. I mean, so I've been there. I've been thoroughly impressed with the first 3 episodes. Again, they need to stay on. The Louis Jerome and Franklin are really, really trying to kill each other. Like I don't think again, I don't want to see any uh any type of reunions, any type of nothing that brings them together. Like that would be a disaster for the season moving forward. We'll see what happens in the next episode. Thank you for joining this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. I will see you next time. So long.